fucking do this. I am your host. Unfortunately, I am Chad Porto, and we're going to talk about Money in the Bank. Christ save us. Joining me, as always, is the glorious one himself, although I'm sure he'd like to cash in all of his IOU chips that he has in my bank account so he can get out of the review on this one. But he already watched it, so it's a little too late. He's Marcus Green. Marcus, I don't want to be doing this.
I could have been searching new scenes on blacked.com.
Which is, by the by, in case you're looking for the address, so it's spelled WWE.com.
/blurby.
Blurby will never die. Our Black Lesnar. Blurby Lashley. Oh, God. Oh, no.
This is basically what this is going to be for the next hour, folks, so get used to it. Cause
It's not good. I just spelled money in the book. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. What am I doing? Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. So, this was fucking terrible. And not even terrible in, like, a good way. I mean, like, the worst possible kind of terrible. This is Rusev having to give up Rusev Day bad. This is Jeff Hardy getting found with oodles and oodles and oodles of ounces of different drugs and going to jail. Twice in his career. This is as bad as being able to do a Jeff Hardy redemption arc more than once for the same problems.
Across two different promotions.
Right. This is so bad that even Stephanie and Vince McMahon had some of the highlights of the night. That's how bad it was. So, before we get to the bad, I want to talk about the good. I didn't mind the Fatal 4-Way match. It was fine. I thought the wrong team won. You know, you got an opportunity to build a new stable in the Forgotten Sons, even though I think they're all pretty much... Like, they're the white New Day. A bunch of people just like, you're all white. We're going to put you in a stable. So, like, not exactly the greatest of gimmicks. And I think Murphy's buddies in this. Isn't that who Wesley Blake is? Murphy's old tag team partner?
Yes, a Forgotten Son. That is now Forgotten Son.
I don't even know who the fuck Steve Cutler is.
You sound like a football player that never made it.
Sounds like a bad piece of cutlery from like a shopping network. This is our Steve Cutler. As you can see, it chops, dices, but it does not fry anything. So that's my one gripe. You could have made a brand new tag team, but then again, WWE doesn't like tag teams. I don't even know why they have tag team matches, and yet here we are. Then I will also go with the R-Truth Bobby Lashley segment later on in the night when R-Truth was like, man, MVP lost some weight. I don't know why I find Rocky looking so goddamn hilarious. But I do. And the fact that Lashley squashed him in a minute 40 was great. It's just one of those things where it makes sense to do. And in the context of the show itself, it had no business being on there. Considering this show was like, what, 2 hours long? Yikes. That's not good. Maybe you should have done the Money in the Bank matches separately there, Vince. You could have gotten an actual 3 hours out of your show. But nope, here we are. Those are my two moments I would say are fine. The rest, on the other hand...
Garbage shit show.
Garbage. Yeah. This show was garbage. And there's a lot of people talking about how this was a good show.
We talked about these easily appeased fans. If they've seen cinematic wrestling elsewhere, they won't acknowledge it. So when WWE does it, oh Lord, they so creative.
Yep. And the worst part is, honestly, this isn't because it was good either. I think these people that are so hyped on what we just saw tonight are of the Tommy Wiseau The Room generation. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's a movie so bad it's adored for being bad. The director's like this really really coked out dude, and he's like all kinds of messed up. And he made a movie thinking it was going to be great, but it ended up being so painfully bad that it ended up catching an audience. That's what's happening with summer wrestling right now. We are getting objectively bad wrestling that doesn't make any sense, but people like it because it's actually just terrible. And that's why they glom onto it. Now, there are fans like myself that likes objectively bad wrestling and will rep for it. But I do it because it's from companies that were never going to be good, like the World Wrestling All-Stars or what was that? Excitement Wrestling Federation. It's not supposed to be good.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
And we know everybody has their own different sense of humor, but and look, like I said, I like stuff like, we love stuff like Batman and Forever, and I am all down. I'm the biggest champion of corniness and cheesiness and just over the topness when it makes sense within whatever the world is going on in.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like I know Chad said it before, he wasn't the biggest fan of the deletion stuff, but I dug it because they kept it contained in what it was and they committed to the rules that they came up with for it. This here was a specific brand of trash. And the fact that people like it, it's like what you like. Everybody got their own different types of things, but there was so much stupidity. Like, they probably think they did this superstars a favor with some of the stuff that they did, and it was the complete opposite.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So I have a feeling, Marcus. Yeah, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. You really want to get into the main event?
Oh no, we can go through the thing. I mean, it was actually some good spot. I mean, like I said, the stuff with Lashley and All Truth is always gold. Period. It's cool to see MVP here, I guess. I mean, I thought Rollins and McIntyre put on a good show. But everything else is just 100%. You're not going to remember any of it that went down tomorrow.
Nope. So Jeff Hardy returned, beat Cesaro. I guess that's all right. Cool. I don't know. Bayley defeated Tamina, retained her belt.
Highlight of the match was Sasha's outfit, as per usual.
As you're saying highlight of the match, I was about to chime in and go, there was one?
Then he's going to go back and look. Oh, yeah. It'll sound like, oh yeah.
Whenever I see Sasha, I just gotta go, oh, yeah! I like to snap into her, Slim Jim. Whatever that means.
Dig it!
Dig it! Whenever I say dig it, I always worry if someone's gonna think I'm saying a slur. Because I always go with the, like how he used to go. So I'm always like, dig it!
Oh yeah, I mean that's funny. It's funny because I was watching this MTV show called Wild 'N Out.
Oh, and, what's Wild 'N Out? I don't know what that is. It's only been on for a decade. How white do you think I am?
Oh, it's not that. It's just like I just assume that you stay away from all things Nick Cannon.
Oh, I do. I try to. I do. Truthfully, Nick Cannon's he's a canker sore on the ass of life.
I try to keep it in chance parameters of this sucks, never will I invest.
Bingo.
So one of the dudes was like the game called So Fly. This guy, how fly is he? And the white guy went like, this guy's so fly. If you were Winnie the Pooh, you'd be my Tigger.
Oh, I like that. That's funny. That'll get your ass kicked in East Cleveland. Boy, that's funny. That's funny as shit. Braun Strowman defeated Bray Wyatt. And Marcus, here's how much hope I had for the calamity that was the main event. when Braun Strowman randomly pulled out his black sheep mask after really no build up to it whatsoever, and he put it on, I'm just thinking to myself, this is gonna be the low point of the show tonight, folks. I was wrong. I was so wrong.
I mean, the match was whack. I mean, the hilarious thing is like because of this whole dual identity character he's created, he's basically got a built-in rematch clause because it was like, oh my God, you beat Bray Wyatt, but you did beat the Fiend. Like that whole thing, which I would imagine is gonna come up. But the funny part about him putting on the mask, because at this point I'm tuned out of the match, even though I'm watching it. He put the mask on when he was kicking Bray's ass.
Yeah.
Even though this had no build up and really didn't make a lick of sense. I don't even know how much he wore that mask when he was doing that whole thing. But it would have made more sense if he was losing and he used the mask as a way to get over on him. It wasn't even that. So the whole thing about you just wasted however many minutes we had to sit there and look at that stupid stuff, and you got the freaking puppets, which it makes no sense because the puppets weren't even a thing when the wives were together, but whatever. So yeah, it's whack.
Another idea they could have gone with is having Bray himself having like the one up on Braun and then putting the mask on himself. Not putting Bray, not Bray putting the mask on himself, but Bray putting the mask on Braun himself as like an act of I've reclaimed you with the mask I've once given you. And then like Braun could have stood up kind of like under the mind control, fuck this entire angle. It's all stupid. The Wyatt family was stupid. Bray Wyatt's a shit worker. Braun's a shit worker. This match was shit. Moving on. I can't even come up with a good idea to salvage this shit show of a match because it was so bad.
Hi, JoJo.
Hey, JoJo. Leon White's son says because he's really mad at you still for cheating on him. Trollop! Sorry. I'm never going to not talk shit about someone who cheats. I'm sorry. Like, that's unforgivable. You're making a conscious decision to betray someone else. That's fucked. Well, I mean, she was. That's why she cheated, but still.
Nice.
Thank you. There ain't many things I'm going to take credit for being the best in the world at. But turning phrase, that's my jam. Drew and Seth, for for watching a lot of this wrestling, especially when I don't watch it weekly with the WWE, I watch a lot of other wrestling throughout the week, but not WWE. I don't really have a good gauge on where things should be without the crowd. So it was good. It was fine. But unless I hear that crowd reaction, it's really hard to sometimes gauge just how good it was because none of it was that impressive. Drew's fine. He's not some shitbag worker, but he's not Bret Hart or the greatest of all time, Kevin Nash. He was the greatest draw of all time. He told Alex Shelley that in 2006.
So glad news finally came out, man. Years. Like, they need to do a Dark Side of the Ring on just that.
Right? Kevin Nash, greatest draw of all time. Even bigger than Hogan? Even bigger than Hogan. I got to find that episode of Impact. I got to watch that. That was a great episode.
But speaking of Impact, I'm so glad I haven't watched this week's show yet because I have something to cleanse my palate of this besides that Undertaker last ride thing.
Yeah, and I also got MLW still to go for tonight, so I got a palate cleanser myself.
Even with the trash that this show was, we're going to get to the worst of it in a few minutes. I'm completely ruined on anything that could potentially be considered good to great this week because this week for the True Finish show we did two of the 18th All Age anniversary videos.
Oh, really?
And I saw for the first time Samoa Joe versus Kobashi. I'm ruined. I'm freaking ruined.
Marcus just experienced the pro wrestling version of Blacked. Once you go Kobashi, I got nothing. You're just fucked. You're done.
You're fucked.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Kobashi's the god. See, like, pro wrestling to me, I don't know if you feel this, but pro wrestling to me is very much like music. You ever feel that like certain wrestlers just have like a musical kind of like band or artist type vibe?
Yeah, the wrestlers are the the musicians and the match. I have the match goes like almost flows like a perfect melody, transition to transition to the climax, and it's just like a freaking a contained super concert within the confines of 4 ring posts.
Kabashi's the progenitor of speed metal.
Oh, gotta write that down for there. But that's good.
You listen to speed metal and you go, my bones are vibrating into pieces. This is awesome. You watch Kabashi and the shocks of his giant gorilla-esque palms cause a concussive effect through the speakers that vibrate your bones into nothingness. Your bones
Oh
will
yeah,
fade away into nothing.
love when you manage to get that in. But got to get it in when you can. But yeah, I said this on the True Finish show. I was like, uh, I thought Walter was the guy, and then I'm like, no, no, no. Kobashi was the guy. Like, what Walter's chop? Like, Kobashi was the guy. Because I was like, if Joe was in his 20s in that match, Kobashi chopped him in his 30s.
Yeah, you know how like Joe gained like 50 pounds in TNA in like 2008? What actually happened was Kobashi slapped Joe so hard that the fat molecules in his chest and stomach eviscerated off of his being. But because matter can't be destroyed, only relocated, what ended up happening is that fat particles that Kobashi slapped the shit out of formed into one 50-pound lump, traveled through the time-space continuum, and slapped right back onto Joe in 2008. Because Kobashi slaps so goddamn hard.
Like, it's the Popeye forearm effect, but all over.
Basically. Kobashi's a fucking pimp, man. His match with Kenta was fantastic. Kenta Kobayashi. So that was pretty good if you want to check that out. He's also had some great matches with Misawa. A lot of his All Japan stuff was almost as good as his Noah stuff, but his Noah stuff was next level, especially when they brought in Joe and some of the other Ring of Honor guys from like 2004, 2005. That's when, no pun intended, Kobashi really slapped.
Yeah, hilarious. By the way, if you're one of those people, even if you're Tom Segura when it comes to wrestling, you need to go watch that Samoa Joe Kobashi match.
Was Tom Segura the guy that was causing all that hoopla over the weekend?
Yeah, and if he did nothing else but bring you and SRS on the same page, we're not going to call out his full name, it's SRS. Then that's he did enough, I guess.
Right, he did something, and I think that right there is it's just. I love it. I love it so much. So, here we are. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. I know you're a big Drew Mac fan. Can we get that going like T-Mac? Drew Mac?
Drew Mac.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure T-Mac is the size of one of Drew McIntyre's entire thighs. Basketball players are not wide people. I don't think people realize that. Like, remember when everyone's like, Shaq is so big, and then he stood next to the Big Show, and we're like, no, he's not.
Yeah, that's funny but true. But T-Mac's pretty much been that size even when he was playing, right?
Yeah, dude, T-Mac weighed like 140 pounds. I'm pretty sure his jersey was like half of his weight. But like, so you know this. I used to do private security a lot, and one of the things we used to do was, a lot of NBA shows. I don't know if you remember him. He was kind of a scrub. The Cavs drafted this dude out of North Carolina State by the name of J.J. Hickson. Played for Portland for a little while as well. 6'10". He had like arms longer than Genghis Khan, and he was high-fiving the top of the goddamn Great Wall of China. Dude was long. I stood next to him. Marcus, I hand to God, his entire frame with his arms to his side wasn't even as wide as I am. I just remember thinking, you might be tall, but you are not big. I'm flabbergasted by how many of these NBA players look so much bigger on the court because they're all so lanky.
I would imagine that is the last thing some of these professional athletes want to hear when they take some of these groupers back to the room.
I thought you'd be bigger.
You might be tall, but you are not big.
To quote Chris Sabin, Kevin Nash, I'm going to tell you something your wife says to you every night. Size doesn't matter. Because he's saying Nash has a small dick. It took me a little while to, like, when I first heard it, I'm like, wait, what? Why would his wife need to tell? And like I'm sitting there thinking for the longest time. Like literally a day and a half later, I went back to class because this is when TNA was on Saturdays. I went to class on Monday and I'm sitting there going, oh, it's because he got a small dick. And everyone just kind of looked at me. I'm like, what? No, what?
And then, because I'm booking that scenario cinematically. Flair, Jay Lethal walks in. Hey, don't get mad because they tore old Space Mountain.
Can we just get oh god, now they're putting up rest in peace signs for Black and Rey Mysterio.
Oh god, that Dominic tweet is hilarious though. Because that's still a thing.
Hey, listen, if you don't want us to make callous jokes about death, don't pretend that wrestlers going off of a 12-story building isn't going to cause their demise. Like, this isn't 1994. We're not all in on we're not all ignoring the joke. Like, we're all in on it. Like, we get it. Anyway, so Drew Mac, Team Mac, whatever it is. How do you feel about the Drew Mac, Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins match?
It's cool. Like I said, it was in terms of match, it was probably the best thing. I haven't seen the Cesaro Hardy match. I heard they got a decent amount of time, and it's Hardy and Cesaro. If you get those two at peak form and kind of let them cut loose, they can do something. Yeah, like I said, I dug the match. Obviously, you can never take away from the fact what you said about the crowd because look, and I said this on the other show. That crowd for that Joe Kobashi match was so ravenous and so into that match, it almost felt like a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
It is the way that they was into it. But yeah, I mean, even without that here, like I said, I think they did a solid job. This Messiah thing for Rollins has been cool. It's been better than some of the other stuff he's had to do. We've had to watch him do because at least he get to do something a little different. Maybe that's why I fall into the fray of, oh my God, at least it's something different. I'm still not acknowledging that it's good at all, but it's stalely refreshing, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I mean, I've been digging McIntyre on his run. I don't know who he feuds with next. Obviously, it won't be Owens because I don't think we're going to see Owens until this whole thing is done, which is 100% fine. But he's doing what he can. I mean, all he can do is take the ball and run with it as much as he can during this whole thing. So, kudos to Drew Mac.
You know it's going to end up being Lashley, right?
Yeah. Jeez, I thought about that.
They're just gonna keep doing all the things that impacted back in the day.
Now I feel like we need to just because obviously it probably gonna happen. We need to post that face he made on that video I sent you.
Oh God,
hello friend.
Oh jeez, you know who it's not gonna be? Alberto Del Rio, but we'll get to that story later.
See.
I'm just imagining Marcus sitting there staring at a wall going, see. That's it. That's how I'm imagining this. All right, well, then we get the main events. Asuka, Carmella, Dana, Lacey, Nia, and Shanna versus Otis, AJ, Alistair, Daniel, Corbin, Mysterio. I thought they were going to do this more like a match and less like a cinematic, so I'm already pissed off about that. I thought they were gonna go do like the side by side, and then like when like the wrestlers on one group were like dispatched and far apart, they would focus on one side and then flip it to the other side, and then when they were all together, they'd show both. No, instead we just got nonsensical, broken storytelling. So, firstly, how did no one see Asuka climb to the second floor of the building? And more to the point, why didn't Asuka just use the elevators that were behind her? Because there are elevators on that floor that she was on.
Well, unless there was, and this is again, this is just one broken part of this shitty vase. Unless it was 100% stated that you had to start in the lobby.
Well, it wasn't.
Why?
Because the men started in the basement.
Or wherever they had to start. It was, like if it was me, I'm starting in the elevator. It opens. I flip them off. It closes, and I'm going straight to where I need to be.
Right?
If it got to be. And two, you see Oscar standing there. Your dumb ass just gonna stand there.
It's the dumbest shit. It's the dumbest shit. On the flip side, the men start in the weight room, and first, like, all right. So let's just look at the women's intro for a second. So they introduce the talents 2 by 2 in the match. So 2 women, 2 men, 2 women, 2 men, 2 women, 2 men. Dana comes in, does this fucking great no hands flip. She's decked out in silver and blue, which I just think is regal as fuck. She's looking like the best of the 5, or the best of the, yeah, because Asuka hadn't shown up yet. Fucking Shanna Baszler looked like she just pulled all of her gear out of a trash can. Nia Jax is wearing a leftover Teletubby outfit, so that was cool. Then you had fucking Lacey Evans in the same gear she's always in, just black and yellow. She's a murder hornet. Stay the fuck away from her. And then Carmella doesn't even look like a person anymore. She looks like a Barbie doll. And I don't mean like in terms of her features, like her physical tits and ass features. I mean, like, if you look at her face, it has no emotion on it. She looks like she's permanently Botoxed. She looks almost brown, but not like super tan to the point where there's no color anymore. Like, I'm pretty sure if like she were to get a cut on her face, it wouldn't even bleed red. It would just be more that brown substance that her face is caked in. She looks like she's not even human. Speaking of that, then Otis showed up. I'm not sure what the fuck he is. Dude, Otis is a gremlin who shaved himself and ate after midnight every day for 30 years. Yeah. I swear to God, if there's not a Tickle Me Otis doll in my local toy store by Christmas, I'm going to be mad.
The fact that, again, we've come up with something that will make them money. By the way, go check out Wrestling Underground, where we booked a 2-year storyline that was actually really good involving Nia Jax.
Yeah, last Tuesday's show. Go check it out. It's up on YouTube. Or you can download it.
She was yeah, we're not proud that she was involved, but we made it work.
Of course. We can make anything work.
Yeah, the Miller stuff. Yeah, Miller is money, or Miller has spent a lot of money on her face. Yeah, this was. And the thing about Dana Brooke, we're gonna get into the stupidity around her. You know, she's trying to make the best of everything she's involved in because she's not used to being involved in a lot consistently.
Mm-hmm.
They do this young woman no favors.
Right. So let me say this about Dana Brooks. If she wasn't Dana Brooke and she was anyone else, I would have found her involvement in this match to be comical. Great comedic timing. She, great moments. She knew how to play everything, and like her like rolling into that food fight, still wearing the what was it? A poster, was fucking hilarious. But because it's Dana and she gets dog walked so often by this company, it's not funny anymore. It feels like they're just bullying her. Not to mention, she's a legitimate athlete. Probably, with the exception of maybe Baszler, of these 6 women, she's probably the best athlete of these 6 women. She's physically stronger than any of them. I bet you she could deadlift Nia Jax, which I'm pretty sure Nia Jax couldn't even deadlift Dana. So, there's something to be said about that. And she looks fantastic. Her attire gives her this Glamazonian, like, essence. She's this badass battle chick. But they make her such a doofus for no reason. Like that chick has some ham hocks on her, and I guarantee you, if she were to forearm shiver someone right in the face, that she'd knock him the fuck out. But for some reason, they don't want to use her natural attributes to her advantage. It's mind-boggling.
Well, no, Chad, they let a cartwheel. I mean,
Oh
that's,
yeah.
they let do a cartwheel. I mean, what shows more athleticism, ingenuity, and just the essence of femininity than that cartwheel?
Good thing no one else does a cartwheel. Then on the men's side, you got AJ Styles, who's so here's something that I can say about men that we definitely have the advantage on women night. We do age better. Chad at 33 is getting a hell of a lot more numbers than Chad at 13. Granted, Chad at 13 looked like a shaved gremlin who ate too much, but still.
Okay, did Chad at 13 have that coiffed hair?
No, Chad at 13 thought it was lame to have coiffed hair, so he kept it nice and tight. And he had the worst glasses ever, and his teeth were still kind of coming in. So like he had like this wide gap tooth smile, but not like in the middle, everywhere. They came in though. They came in. Yeah, and he was just kind of a soft, doughy dork. Chad at 33 is well, my Rolodex ain't hurting for numbers if that's what you're curious about.
Oh, yeah.
Food. So, like, I get it, right? Like, we age really well. Ray, 40,000 years old, time to conquer Earth. Like, Otis looks like he's 82, but he's like 24. But AJ Styles, man. I remember looking at him in 2005 going, this is a babyface motherfucker, right? And now I'm seeing him in 2018. Ah, God, 2020. My bad. And I'm looking at his face, and I'm like, whoa, you are not a handsome man anymore. I don't know what happened to you, but now I understand why you have to have long hair and a beard, because you're trying to pull focus there, my friend.
How the fuck is that soccer mom that offers you didn't ask for?
Right? Like, you look at him and you're like, Botox gone wrong? If he were to shave his beard, one, he probably should have a long time ago. But that, like, handlebar creeper stash he's got going on, oh, my God. Like, you know, I like meet some crime dramas, like some crime mysteries, some spooky ookies. AJ Styles looks like every weird creepo who's ever done anything with anyone ever in these stories. 14-year-old little girl goes missing, and then it's a picture that looks just like AJ Styles. I'm just like, huh. Granted, it's from 1972, but huh.
Yeah, he's at a point where it really is dependent on the day and the angle.
Yeah. He looks like that weird creepy guy from all those old like 70 movies where like you might think he's like a porn star or just a creeper, you're not sure, but you definitely know he's into something odd. Like zombies.
Thanks to you, now I'm never gonna be able to look at Jax again without going,
oh, maybe she shouldn't wear an Oompa Loompa costume when she's trying to wrestle then. Not my fault. Don't wear a onesie to wrestling. Like, what are you doing, Naya? What are you doing? Fucking AJ Styles in the zombie community. The zombie community. God bless Wrestle Talk. You've become number one in my books. So the men are in the basement doing something, and like Corbin throws a weight at the glass mirror and just stares at it for 20 minutes because he can't believe he just did that because he doesn't understand how fragile glass is, apparently. That made no sense. Like, if he had done it and go, oh, Vince is going to be so mad at me, then okay. But they booked the match. I'm pretty sure they knew they were going to have some structural damage. Just saying.
oh, I thought it was because he was looking at a physical representation of his ego.
Or his career.
Or his hair.
Or his other football career. My entire life is before my eyes. It's broken, shattered, and completely unfixable. I know. Uh-oh. Somebody go get Corbin. He's having a moment. Then all of a sudden, Otis drops a thing of weights on top of AJ Styles, but like you can tell AJ's like got like a good 3 inches between the bar and his chest.
Then, then of all people, he's trapped under weights that he can't get from under. He's gonna freaking ask Mysterio to help him. Like, you a-hole.
And like Mysterio said something, but it was so inaudible. I don't even remember what he said. It like that was like one of those moments where I'm just like, you should have had everyone mic'd up for if you're going to do a cinematic. What are you doing? But then randomly, 5 minutes later, Styles is on the 5th, 7th, 12th floor looking for AJ or looking for Mysterio. Even though it was Otis who trapped him. That didn't make any fucking sense. So, Asuka takes the elevator to the top floor. And she's up there for 12 minutes because that's how long it takes for them to do the men's match and then come back to the women's match. And the women have climbed all the way up the stairs to this point in time. And Asuka just slinks away, to the kitchen, and then she slinks away again to the rooftop, and she slinks away again and gets the briefcase. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is fucking stupid. Because half the match was like some goddamn Laurel and Hardy Scooby-Doo, them running around hallways like trying to figure out where to go. Whoa, Raggy! It's a ghost!
No, you were 100% right. And on the topic of, like, look, I don't know. You known this match has been what this match is for going on how many days or weeks now. Get you a full plan or go visit the freaking headquarters, the scouting. The fact that they got, and again, this just feels like you said, they're bullying the girl at this point. Dana Brooke is punching somebody and asking them, tell me where the briefcase is. They say in the match for the promo that the damn briefcase is on the top of the damn building. You got to know this before coming into this match. So the fact that after she asked this of somebody, she goes into a conference room and gets a briefcase off the ceiling and thinks she's won, only to be enlightened by Stephanie McMahon via what it was, Skype. I don't know.
She was not there for that. That's all I know.
Freaking she brother Nero'd herself into the room, and then she got took out by Nia Jax got knocked out before this, and she told her to help her off the floor because apparently Nia was drooling because apparently she had something from catering. But God, this was fucking stupid.
Jaxie Waxie, the Teletubby, drools when she sleeps. Uh-oh. Man, all right, so when that show came out, I was babysitting my cousins. They were like 1, 2 years old and 3 or 4 years old at the time. And they and their baby minds were like, this is the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen. Put on that Monster Jam bullshit with the trampoline. I'm like, hell yeah. Trampoline is basketball. Yeah.
It's funny because I used to consistently watch it too, but it got to a point, and this thing that's really grinds my gears has been a thing since I was a kid. I don't like when people waste food, specifically like food that I would really love to have, or specifically dessert. So I'm sitting up here like, it got to a point where I'm like, these bastards never finish their breakfast. They place it on the floor, and the freaking vacuum has to clean it up every time. They never eat. They always get the breakfast and don't finish. It used to it just pissed me off.
Have you ever seen like someone sharpen a kitchen knife before, like really fast?
Yeah.
I'm imagining like 6-year-old Marcus with that sharpening tool and like a big meat cleaver. Like, you didn't finish your breakfast again. I'm gonna have to go to Teletubby Land and teach y'all motherfuckers a lesson on how to clean your plates with proper etiquette. And then you hold the knife and it says proper etiquette on the side of it.
It works. I was in a trunch bowl mindset. Who's wearing a pretty bonnet hat today? I wasn't wearing one yesterday.
Oh God. Shrum Marcus. Mark Bull.
Mark Bull.
So they dog walk Naya, they dog walk Dana. Cool story. Asuka wins her match, whatever. I was really hoping that it was going to be more of a clusterfuck with them actually interacting with one another. But like there was like 3 moments I think during the match where they all just kind of like ran into one another, and like all the women just like threw their hands up like ew, gross, ew, 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 or at least um, Lacey Evans did that, and like they just kind of walked away as the men continued to brawl. That was dumb.
Yeah, yeah. The stupidity in some of these, like Dana Brooke thing, that was just one piece of that. But Oscar getting the freaking thing. There are two briefcases, obviously one for the men, one for the women.
And
Oscar
then
gets to
one
put a
filled with $500,000 apparently. I'd rather win that one.
Vince probably freaking withholding that in case somebody tries to get out of the contract.
This
But
is all the money we saved from firing your friends. Ha ha.
now that's the storyline. Um,
Yes.
but your freaking Oscar goes up to get one of the briefcases, and here comes stuck on stupid Corbin trying to stop her. Like it ain't a whole nother damn briefcase right there. Like, what are you? Who booked this?
We know who booked it.
Jesus Christ!
Vince McMahon is a bad human being. So Asuka gets rid of Baron Corbin, who just completely fucked his entire chances of winning up because he was impatient. The only other person on that ladder, and he was impatient. Wait your turn, Baron. That's a good metaphor for humanity. Just be patient. Just be patient. Just mind your business. Just mind your business. He didn't mind his business though, and he got dog walked. That's what happens. So then the men get up there, and Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio are thrown to their deaths. So all that buildup for Aleister Black has been just completely fucking wasted. Rey Mysterio is clearly leaving the company after this night. Let's be honest. And then Otis somehow wins the match because Styles and Corbin are fucking around with the briefcase, and then fucking Jeff Jarrett's illegitimate son El Kabong's Corbin with the guitar. And despite the fact that Styles is now the only one holding the briefcase, which means he should have won, he then throws it for no reason, and then Otis catches it.
Oh, that whole thing. Him and well, technically him and Corbin was holding it, and as Corbin's hand left it, Styles didn't have full control. So when it fell into Otis's hands, who then had control, it then became his by default because he had control. That concept. Of concept, like the whole reason why Chad hates this concept is perfectly put on display in these two matches.
I am not a fan of the Money in the Bank concept. It does not make stars, it ruins them. And Marcus, if you ever try to NFL logic me again, oh, we gonna have some issues. I don't need to know what a catch is. I'm aware of what a catch is.
Oh no, I was just trying to make Cole sound less stupid. But well, it's not my logic, it's his.
I
Uh,
know. I'm more mad
yeah,
at
man,
you, but I'm really mad at Cole. I'm using you as the filter. So I don't get arrested for some type of crime.
the fact that because there were three, like you said, they had three cameos in this match that didn't matter worth a damn. Brother Love, the Doink Ish the clown, and
Doink light.
freaking People Power didn't mean a damn thing.
Well, we technically had
Oh,
5. We had Doink, we had Brother Love, we had Johnny Ace, but we also had Vince and Stephanie as well.
oh
And,
yeah.
and none of them worked. None of them worked.
The, the only ironic thing about the Vince thing was like, of course they would pick, I guess Daniel and AJ because those are like the guys that are least likely to be in his office because he would would have a fetish for somebody like a Braun Strowman. But other than that,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay, hang on. WWE High School, but with Vince as the principal. I could make that work. Oh, I could definitely make that work.
That would actually be a great uh thing to come behind what used to be WWE Camp.
Yep.
That would be a great animated thing, and you, with your mind, you could run rampant with that.
So it
Oh,
needs to take place in the middle in WWE Universeville, and AJ's the captain of the football team, and his Halloween costume is a ghost, but Vince puts a dunce cap on his head, so when he puts on his ghost costume, he's now a ghost with a point.
speaking of ghosts,
And
that's what
every time MVP and Lashley see him, they're just like, "Ooh, you better take off that costume." AJ's like, "Well, I'm just a ghost." Boo! And then you can say something like, "I'm just here to spook you," and then like Lashley has to hold MVP back.
oh no, better yet,
Oh,
they
how could that get better? I'm so. Oh
the,
man, let's do this. Tell me.
the, the top of his robe was like that season one Arrow hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he inexplicably walks into Booker T in the bathroom. In the hijinks just ensue. They, ju- they just ensue. Because he goes from I speak up to straight hood.
Okay. All right, that works. But Booker's got to be a geography teacher,
Oh,
and he tells everyone, "In my home country of Africa." And then when he sees AJ with the white hood, he just goes, "Oh boy, you must be outside your damn mind! Tell me I didn't just see that."
and then he starts beating on AJ. And he's about to kill him. And then he takes off the hood like, wait a minute, man, I'm in the ghost community.
Hogan walks in. Hulk Hogan walks in. "Booker man, you can't be doing that. I'm gonna have to tell Principal McMahon." And then Hogan leaves. And then Booker goes, "I'm coming for you."
He didn't. He just look at his house. He didn't say that. Tell me, he didn't just say that. Oh God! Speaking of ghosts, though, that's what Ray and Alistair Black should be. However,
Force
the
ghosts.
concept, the concept of they did 2 moments in this whole thing with AJ where they sold his match of supposed burial by Undertaker better than they're clearly gonna sell these alleged deaths of Rey Mysterio and Black. It's hilarious to me.
So, thank you for bringing that up because AJ not only got trapped underneath weights, he also got locked into a room with a coffin. And yet, this dude was still one of the final three people standing. What the fuck? Oh, by the by, I love how all the women were rendered unconscious except for Asuka at one point, and then the very next scene that we go back to them, all six of them are running in the same direction again. No fucking consistency in this match. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I know you compared it to the Scooby Doo thing, but they do it so much better. Like, they do it. So that whole thing is so much better. Specifically, um, when like, although this could have the way that this was so stupid, they could have did a thing where like the briefcase was possessed and running with them, and they would have noticed. Like doing Scooby.
I think the problem that I ultimately have with this is they try to do both super over the top gag funny and both super serious kind of
Yeah.
action. If they had focused on one
Mhm.
or the other, it still would have been terrible, but it would have been at least logical. Like if you had gone full stupid humor and you actually did a bit with like the stars where they're chasing one another through different offices, but instead of like coming out of the door, they're coming out like it's a Scooby Doo hallway where like one goes in the men's room and then comes out the kitchen and yada 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 as they're going back and forth. Like that would have been fucking hilarious. But you got to own whatever concept you're trying to go for. It's like going to see Schindler's List, but there's like an entire, sock puppet musical comedy act in the middle of the match or in the middle of the movie. It doesn't make any sense. It completely deters and tears up the tone of the movie, which is part of the problem with WWE's cinematic matches, or just general matches overall, is that they often just say to hell with, to hell with the tone. I think that's part of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, and I think like this really, and I know that this wasn't your particular flavor, but this really just made me appreciate that Undertaker Styles match more, just because, and it's kind of going to what you were saying. It just made more sense around the ominous nature of Undertaker, because it really pulled in all his gimmicks in one to kind of pull that whole thing off. Which again, even if you're not into that whole supernatural stuff, it works within the realms of his character. And obviously,
Mm-hmm.
AJ was playing into the whole swag of the Undertaker, if you will. But this, like you said, they really thought they blended the best of both worlds with this, and it was 100% it was trash. And but although I did actually like the moments with Styles where he was looking for Ray, turned around and it was a big ass poster with his eyes, and then they did the Undertaker thing and he was paused, and then Alistair kicked him in the room. I wish he would have black masked him in the room. Then he would have been knocked out next to the coffin. Of course, to this logic, he would have somehow magically woke back up because they even booked that better in the women's match where Carmella went through the table and we never saw her again.
I forgot that happened. Oh, Jesus. There's so much
Oh yeah,
What's up?
oh yeah, the fruit fight. Paul Heyman was there.
Oh, that's right. 6 cameos. I like that he was eating the carbs first. And then secondly, I like that when he spoke, everyone was afraid of him. Like, what is he going to do? Be 60? Like, he's not Brock Lesnar, and I'm pretty sure he can't summon him with a magical flute like Magilla Gorilla and show up and beat the shit out of you guys. You're fine. Just beat the shit out of him and move on. I don't think Magilla Gorilla gets summoned by a magical flute, but that would be awesome. Get a magical flute, summon a magical gorilla to my side. Maybe cast its wishes. Could wish this company never existed. And then I'd still have a magical gorilla by my side. That's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. Like that, and like maybe like the magical gorilla has like an elephant compadre that he rides. That'd be cool. I'd be down. But that fantasy element of me enjoying magical large animals that can rip tree trunks out of the ground with their just natural abilities, which God love animals. That's more exciting to me than talking about this match. This was terrible. This was really bad. They could have separated this up into 2 actual matches and given the show some actual length, because the show itself ended at 9:30 Eastern time. Now I know that the pay-per-views start now at like 7:30 now instead of 8 like they used to. But still, that's only 2 hours and some change. I know they used to be like, we used to complain about the 5-hour shows, but I don't want it to be fucking 2 hours. And I know you're gonna say, "Oh, you need to make up your mind." I did. 3 hours, please. It was the standard for so long. Most football games are 3 hours. Why can't wrestling events be 3 hours? Not every week, like, God no. But like the special monthly events, why can't they be 3 hours still? I don't see the issue with that.
It almost feels like when they went back and saw this in the edit, they was like, yeah, we need to cut this early. Yeah, we need to go. We can get in, get out, and let it be known who won, because this is not good. But we don't feel like going back and reshooting it. So
You might not be wrong. Okay, so there was one news story I don't know if you heard about that I want to talk about before we end tonight's show. So Alberto Del Rio got arrested.
really,
Yeah, I was about to say, I can tell by your lack of response that this is news to you.
I've seen it on Twitter before the show. Yeah, that mildly surprised, I guess. My best reaction.
So, firstly, the photo of his arrest, horrifying to say the least. He's got them murder eyes. He's got them murder eyes. Then you read the story and it's so much worse. This is from WrestleZone. We're gonna read this. We're gonna read the original, then we're gonna read the update. So verbatim, this is what WrestleZone's Bill Pritchard said. Alberto Del Rio, I'm going to add this in just for my own sake, also known as Alberto Patron in Impact Wrestling and in the Indies, is facing some serious charges after being arrested in San Antonio last week. Del Rio, real name Jose A. Rodriguez Chuchuan, We're going to call him Del Rio, is facing sexual assault charges after he reportedly assaulted a woman on May 3rd. According to records, the woman reported the incident to the police the following day and claimed that he had become very angry with her and assaulted her, causing multiple injuries to her body. Additionally, the victim said he slapped her across the head when she asked what he was doing. He slapped her again. The victim told the police that they went downstairs and he forced her to put on a dress and dance for him, and when she objected, he threatened to take her son and drop him in the middle of the road somewhere if she started crying over it. According to a report from My News 4 San Antonio, the woman gave a written statement to police and said that Del Rio allegedly sexually assaulted her and had her injuries photographed. He is officially being charged with second-degree sexual assault, which is a felony charge. The former W Superstar bail was set for $50,000, but records show he was released on recognizance last night. If convicted, he could face up to 2 to 20 years in prison and or a fine of $10,000. Then the update says more details have been reported, including how the May 3rd incident began after Alberto Del Rio accused the victim of being unfaithful. After she wouldn't admit to the accusation, he slapped her twice and took her downstairs to a bedroom and slapped her 8 more times. Police also said that Del Rio then bound the woman's arms with boxing straps and stuffed a sock in her mouth before using various items to sexually assault her for several hours. According to investigators, he punched her in the back during the assault. The victim said that she does not remember much after he placed his hands around her throat. And just looking at the photo with those eyes, he's clearly on something. I'm not saying that as an excuse. I'm saying that this dude is coked out of his mind. His eyes are super fucking dilated.
Yeah, and he does look like he's in a particular mood. I've seen that photo as well. Yeah, it's funny because as you're going down the alleged things that's being committed to said victim, it's really taking me back to the whole snooker thing and the details that went down allegedly in that room, and it's cringe inducing. Because we obviously know what happened there, so you want to believe something like this didn't happen, but again, like we talked about, how we perceive these people with their entertainment characters and who they actually are behind those things that they get paid to do is two different things. So we could seen the relationship that him and Paige had. I mean that that wasn't just a one-way thing. Seemed like those were two individuals that was not good for each other. So he does. He's always seemed like a guy who's had some form of a temper. Didn't he beat up like a Ninja Turtle or something?
Did he?
I forgot what was the story. Some guy had said something about a 2-page and he beat him up or something. I don't know.
I remember he beat up someone over comments about Paige, I think, but I don't remember being a Ninja Turtle. Although I can Google this. Alberto Del Rio beats up Ninja Turtle. God, please let there be something. This is a story I need in my life. Oh my God. Okay, hang on. Oh, Alberto Del Rio beats down a Ninja Turtle in backstage fight. When it comes to Sid and Nancy of the wrestling world, there is often even stranger than the headlines. Del Rio beat up a Ninja Turtle who he thought was having a little too handsy with Paige. Not in a wrestling angle, but for real. Oh my God, Marcus, how did I not know this story? The Lucha Blog first reported that Del Rio and Paige were visiting the IWRG show at Arena Nakrupan, just outside of Mexico City on Sunday. While in the locker room area, Del Rio allegedly got into a fight with a wrestler who works as Alan Extreme and as one of the Ninja Turtles faction, Raffy. I wonder which one he is. There are apparently 3 Ninja Turtle factions in Mexico because of copyright laws be damned. Sources are saying that the fight allegedly began when Alberto and Raffy touched Paige. Excuse me. Unlike most wrestling brawls, this one spilled out into the ring area from the backstage where some fans saw it and took to social media. Tortuga Ninja Raffy update from his Facebook page. He said Alberto and him had a fight, threw punches. He's okay, move on. Oh my God, this is fucking hilarious. This is from 2017. Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
I thought we had talked about this. Maybe this was something somewhere else, but yeah, I feel like we had either gone through a story about this or because I know he definitely tried to kill. He definitely killed Santa on WWE TV with his car. So yeah, he's clearly got things against fictional characters and
Fictional
uh
relationships too, apparently.
exactly has appeared to have certain negative relationships with alcohol, a la his particular rant that day on Triple H on I don't know if that was his live or Paige's live, and she was trying to cut him off. Um, yeah, it's just not good. You know, there have been things that just not really feel like it's coming out of the blue, like it's kind of been building towards an instance like this. Unfortunately, I'm just glad that this didn't end in a fatal way,
Yeah.
and hopefully this can be resolved properly.
Dollars to donuts. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Paige came forward with her own stories about Del Rio.
Mm-hmm.
Del Rio has not been a, shall we say, normal human being. He tried to legitimately hurt the first Sin Cara because Sin Cara broke his fucking finger and couldn't continue a match. So Del Rio thought, all right, I'm going to cave in your skull, which I think is a rather overreactive. I don't know. That's just me. I don't really
Oh,
condone assaulting someone because they ended a fictional match.
okay. I think I know the story we talked about in depth with Del Rio. It was when he had that backstage incident with that guy who I guess maybe lobbied like some type of racial slur or something,
Yes,
or
yes.
racial.
That story, I remember that story specifically. That story was about a former WWE backstage, not a personality, but a former backstage individual. He worked backstage for the company. He said something to the extent like Del Rio should clean his plates or something like that because he's Mexican.
Yeah,
Now I don't know if he said
yeah,
because he's Mexican, but the insinuation was to clean his plates, and then Del Rio beat the shit out of him. Now, tacky ass fucking thing to say, borderline pretty goddamn racist. I wasn't there. I didn't hear the context, but definitely shouldn't be assaulting people because of words. I don't know. I just think we should be better people than that. And at the very least, if you're that offended, just kill the guy. Like, if you're that offended, you need to put your hands on him. Go all the way. Don't be a pussy. Like, like, otherwise, you're just doing a half measure. But I'm on the camp of don't put your hands on someone because they say something because you're not an animal. You're not someone who should just resort to violence to get things done. I'm of the mindset that violence does solve some problems, but some problems are like the Holocaust. Violence sure solved that fucking issue. We bombed the hell out of Germany because words weren't good enough. So unless you're trying to stop something like the Holocaust, there's really no good reason to use violence.
yeah. Then you also have those people who naturally have a strong violent nature, and they'll look at stuff like that that could easily be resolved as excuses to and act on that naturally violent nature,
Oh
and
yeah.
then use that like I said as an excuse. So it's hard sometimes determining those individuals because they could be very much like they could almost be like a Rey Mysterio and one day just pop off like a Del Rio, but a lot of times you get signs. So
Oh, and we've gotten some signs with Del Rio. In fact, I've written about the signs that we've gotten with Del Rio back in 2017. There are signs there. There are signs in that nebula. That's a Star Trek reference I doubt anyone will get. I think it's at this point that it's pretty obvious, beyond some point, pretty obvious that Del Rio needs to spend some time in a hole somewhere. Now, maybe he can be rehabilitated. I don't know. I do think the point of prison is for rehabilitation. I don't think that's always the outcome.
yeah.
But this dude needs to spend some time locked away in a hole somewhere. Whether you want to throw like talcum powder and water on him every day and tell him to eat whatever moldy bread you toss him, or whether you want to give him therapy, I don't know. That's up to you. I'm not the one going to be deciding his fate. The great state of Texas is going to.
Yeah, man. I mean, and you would hope so. I mean, and this is a guy who had a wife and kids, for no other reason than his kids. You not want that to have a negative effect on them. Although we don't know from any level how that relationship stands or whatever. But if for nothing else, then getting straight for his kids, hopefully he can kind of wean that off. But I don't know if we've ever really had an in-depth thing about Del Rio to where we could have kind of gauged how he is today based off stuff from his past. Like we haven't gotten like a WWE Chronicle 24 detailing his childhood or where it may or may not have influenced some of his more negative tendencies. So, who knows? Maybe one day we will, maybe we won't. Maybe it'll take somebody like a Paige, although it does seem like she would be more geared towards not fully detailing if something went down just because she would want to protect them for whatever reason. I don't know.
I
Um,
think the only reason Paige wouldn't get involved is if it was kind of too much for her sobriety. Because by all intents and
yeah,
purposes, she's clean and sober finally.
yeah,
Still doing cringy ass faces. Paige here. But for the most part, she seems to have herself in a good place. But I also have to imagine that Paige is a bad enough bitch where she's going to be like, fuck that noise. Here's all that we did. Because if she's rocking that punk lifestyle like I think she does, she'll come forward. Now that the bottle is proverbially open, and I don't want to say what I'm about to say because I can't remember fully, but I want to say Marcus that his wife accused him of similar things.
mm,
I think. Let me Google real fast. Let me just go on the old Google machine. Alberto Del Rio wife accuses. 3 hours ago. Here we go. Involved in a bitter divorce. Accused of committing adultery. That's not what I was expecting it to be. So maybe he didn't commit violence, but I mean, like I said, cheating on someone's pretty fucked. This just seems like a real sick, sick dude. Either it's CTE, is drugs on the alcohol, or he was just born
mm.
bad. I always thought he looked like a sociopath.
Yeah, because I mean, what's been going on with him career-wise? I mean, I know you said like wasn't he running a promotion or something
He
over in Mexico
was
or had a something?
he was the face of an MMA promotion, Combates America, and then he was also running a pro wrestling company, but that has since closed. He actually just had a fight, I think, at the end of last year against Tito Ortiz that he lost pretty convincingly, and he ended up losing his WWE Championship belt in a wager with Tito in that fight. So,
Yeah, and then I think it may have not been rumored that he may come back, which is completely flushed now. Um,
to the WWE,
so yeah,
yeah, yeah, I heard that rumor too.
yeah. So maybe that could, maybe it could be like a spiraling effect or something. We don't know. Like I said, we don't. I doubt. It doesn't feel like unless something, and God forbid, something fatal happens, that we end up getting a dog side of the ring thing. Like an in-depth look into this guy's mind and what makes him tick in any way, other than interviews, and that's surfaced at best because a lot of times you putting on certain airs, specifically if you don't really want people in your business too deep anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, but man, like you said, it doesn't with his ex. I mean, like you said, it was adultery. It wasn't violence, but again, we don't know because a lot of stuff probably hasn't been said, and maybe Paige knows some stuff that she's not saying. Um, but again, he does look like somebody that runs hot, and if you add in drugs and alcohol with that, that's just gonna make it all the times worse. So this story is gonna continue to develop. I know we didn't touch on the dream story, but that's probably gonna continue to develop. So yeah, man, it's just it's weird, weird
So
times.
I do want to address that real fast because the reason why we didn't touch on it is because it's so murky.
Yeah.
With Del Rio, there's an arrest affidavit. We got the mugshot. We know what happened. We know what the accusation is. And frankly, if I'm a court of public opinion, if I'm sitting in that jury and I go, this dude got a history of doing the dumb, I'm going to go guilty.
Doing the dumb, I love it.
Thank you. With Velveteen Dream, To think that a wrestler, he's 24, 25, of that age wouldn't do something like that, I'm not going to dismiss that out of hand. Of course someone his age would and could do something like that. It's not some shocking, unbelievable thing that a 25-year-old would try to sext a 17-year-old. It happens more than you think, people. But do I think he specifically did it? No. I don't know. I don't have enough proof. I don't think he didn't do it. I am going to Schrodinger's cat this bullshit. He both did and didn't do it until there's more evidence to confirm or deny one way or another. I think the problem I had most with it was the people who were outright saying he did it or he didn't do it. Motherfuckers, you don't know. You know? Like, Marcus, I feel like you and I are the only one breathing in the logic air.
I mean, like I say, again, lynch mob mentality. It's weird because a lot of times these people jump on these bandwagons just so they could be like, what was the just so they could get off memes and jokes on Twitter.
Yeah, they're chasing their clout.
Yeah, like oh my god, like in on the main roster you got the Apex Predator, and then on NXT you got the Sexual Predator, like stuff like that.
Wait, Randy Orton went to NXT.
Hilarious.
That's so fucking funny.
The layup was real. He doing it, but yeah, it's crazy. And just off the stuff that I saw, I'm like, I don't know where people are getting from this particular exchange. Obviously, stuff got put on Twitter as it does, and I'm just sitting there like, this seems like kind of what it seems like on the surface. And I feel like people were trying to be investigative reporters or journalists or whatever, or just investigators, of which they not. They don't even have the emotional spectrum to be able to separate logic from whatever fantasy they built up in their head to do so. So, yeah, like you said, the waters are just murky. And unless it's 100% of somebody that people like, we know people got their picks and chooses when it comes to stuff anyway. So, but with Del Rio, like you said, there is history of the stupid, the dumb.
All the dumb. All the stupid.
All the dumb. And most of it is either, like you said, well documented, reported in articles like with Raffy. TMNT Lives Matter, by the way.
Turtles Live Matter too, people.
Turtles Lives Matter.
The Turtles 2 movement.
By the way, when you was detailing that fight, you know what was going on in my head, right? Go Ninja, go Ninja. That whole time, man. It's really not funny because I imagine like if the guy's named Ralphie and they got 3 different factions, they're 100% committing to the gimmick, both like emotionally and aesthetically. So I'm imagining him throwing hands with like somebody in a turtle costume, which is worse. But yeah, that's just not good. Like I said, then you got that video of him being potentially under the influence, talking trash about Triple H, and God knows who else in that video. So like you said, it's a breadcrumb of effery.
Yeah, it really is. It's just, it's kind of one of those things where the credibility of the witness matters, And when I look at the woman who, Al Patron, and I'll say allegedly just for the sake of not wanting to be sued, the woman that he allegedly assaulted, she literally, as soon as she could, went to the police, had had her tests done, had her statement taken. This was not someone who was fucking around. That gives me a lot of confidence in her story because there's no hemming and hawing. She's looking for her justice. Then you think of like the Enzo story, where the person who accused him was like a recovering addict who was going back to, she was like reportedly going back to therapy, and her friends were saying that she was scamming people for sympathy because she didn't want to go back to therapy because she relapsed or some bullshit like that. And it's like, okay, this just sounds like nonsense. And then you think about, with Dream, the people who accused him end up deleting their posts and leave the internet. We don't really know who's accusing anyone. We don't have any names. So like there's no there's no real ability to go and investigate this and see what's what. And then you think about James Ellsworth. You know, the person who accused him was like 16 or 17. And to the best of my knowledge, she's still on the internet. So like that's pretty strong believability there for a victim or a witness in this case. Like I have a lot more reason to believe her than I would some other people who claim things. Like if you can't put your name on something, your credibility really doesn't have a lot of impact, in my opinion. I know it's scary. I know it's
Yeah,
daunting. I know people will like threaten you and come for you, but it's kind of one of those things that you kind of got to just deal with because if you can't stand there and say in front of everyone this happened, then how can we believe you?
no man, 100%. You know, just thinking about all these scenarios and situations that we done talked about, it's like when people, again, when you don't know these people that you were so quick to, come to the PR aid of, you got to realize, like, you know, one of the first laws of nature is self-preservation. Never put it past a person to go to extreme lengths to look out for themselves, specifically when it comes to situations like this. So, you know, you just got to be mindful and be careful because, you know, we live in an age now where people are finding so many different avenues to gain revenue besides these regular 9 to 5s. I mean, you got people going um, almost to damn near porn, but calling it something else is justified in their mind because it's a quicker, easier buck, and they get to not leave the comfort of their own homes. So, you know, and these are the people who will scoff at an adult film star and say they're hurting society or whatever. So you cannot put it past individuals to look out for themselves, whether it be 100% lying on somebody to make the save face, or if in the light that we talking about right now, like if this just happened and she's coming out and she's seeking justice through the proper channels, you can't just sit up here and deny her just because you liked the guy's world title reign.
By the by, Marx's OnlyFans account does launch tomorrow night at midnight. Just letting everyone know.
Yeah, it's all anime, no hentai.
Somehow, I think he'll make more money than most women doing that. It's just fucking Uraraka jumping up and down and dancing.
It is a lot of Deku-ish stuff going on.
Just pictures of Deku like smiling. That's all it is. Marcus prints out a photo and puts it on his face for like the OnlyFan photos. It's Bleku.
Deku.
Yeah, you know, everything you said is 100% right. Although I don't know how many people are going to rep for Del Rio anymore. More specifically, I think one of the things that I really get infuriated with is it's this story I 100% believe. Like, if there's more details, my opinion will obviously change because it's just an opinion. I don't have any facts on the matter, so it's just how I feel. You know, I could either sway more one way or sway less another way. It depends on what else breaks. But when I think about like the Velveteen Dream stuff, like there's parts of me that like yeah, I can easily see someone who is so kind of in his own ego that he does something like that. But the rest of society will look at Del Rio and go, yeah, he's obviously guilty. But then look at Velveteen Dream because they like him and go, no, he couldn't have done it. And I'm sitting there going, both dudes are capable of it, and both dudes are capable of not doing it. Although Del Rio's history tends to make him far more likely because the best way to determine someone's future actions are to look at their past actions. So yeah, I believe that Del Rio probably did this, and I'm not sure about Dream, and I don't want to make any assumptions, otherwise. I don't know the man. I don't know him personality wise. I just know that there's that element in all of us where you can do something stupid, and was that something that Dream did? I don't know, but I also don't know him enough to say that he didn't do it. But there are people who will throw Del Rio under the bus because he's very unlikable. And then there are people that will stand in front of the bus for Dream because he's very likable. And that's when I get bothered. It's like, y'all are just repping for these people because you're fans.
Yeah,
Have you learned nothing from Chris Benoit?
Oh God, don't even give it because there's still people on that particular perspective bandwagon from a different thing too. Because they're looking at it like you can't keep throwing this man on the bus when he was a phenomenal talent. I'm like, you can call him a phenomenal talent.
Fucking watch me.
Yeah.
Fucking watch me.
and a goddamn murderer at the same time. Like you might not be able to wrap your head around it, but that is the complexity and the dichotomy of humanity, or what it can be. So, and we saw the same thing with in a lot of ways. Maybe on the flip side with Enzo, people were so quick to crap on him because they didn't like his on-screen character.
And his off-screen, people just didn't like him, which
I
is
mean, yeah,
fair.
he don't do himself a lot of favors. But at that time, a lot of people were basically like, "Oh, he ruined the cruiserweight division. Of course he did it." I'm like, get out of your feelings. Look at this from a subjective point. This particular this one of this person's friends came out like, "Stop lying." Like, I got the text message of you saying like how much quote unquote enjoyed your time, your mutually agreed upon interaction with this person. You're trying to set this guy up. Stop it. Like, when people that's supposed to come to your aid come to throw a rock on your at your glass house, that speaks a lot.
And ironically enough, CM Punk tweeted out two things that I think kind of spoke to this. They were an hour apart, about 7 hours ago. CM Punk tweeted out, "How much does someone's personal life and views affect how you consume and view their performance life, their personal life?" I fucked that entire word up. It's not either. It's professional life. Let me read this again. How much does someone's personal life and views affect how you consume and view their professional life? Fascinating sports and entertainment question that's always in the back of my mind. Another tweet from Punk an hour later says, like, when do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Homophobia, racism, I can't speak today. Homophobia and racism seem to be the big lines in the sand. What about adultery, political affiliation? And I think that's fair. Like, not just talking about how people view, potential criminals like a Del Rio or a possibly Velveteen Dream, if those allegations had any water to them. But in general, like, I know people who will stop watching certain actors, like a big one, Bradley Cooper. He did that, that Sniper movie a few years back. And then, because it was marketed towards military families, a lot of red staters, they're like, yeah, Bradley Cooper. And then Bradley Cooper's like, yeah, I'm super democratic. And they're like, boo, Bradley Cooper. And I'm just like, why does that matter? There are plenty of Republican performers and actors that I'm fans of. No, I don't necessarily agree with them. But if you think I'm going to sit here and not like Adam Baldwin, who is John Casey and Chuck, you're outside your goddamn mind, people. Because he's goddamn John Casey. So it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, how much of a person's ideology or how much of a person's visage matter to a fan base more than anything? Like, I know for me, I'm going to speak just from my example. I was a huge fucking Chris Benoit fan. Marcus, I mean, like, on every other Sunday, it was Benoit then Sting in my head. 13 days out of 14, it was Sting. Then that one other day, it was Benoit as my go-to guy for, like, my entire young adolescent life. And after, Benoit murdered his family, I was like, no, it wasn't Benoit. It could have been Benoit. I loved Benoit. He was just like me in so many ways. And then I found out all the horrific stories. I'm like, wow, we have nothing in common. We're both just short white dudes. So it was, it was a process. It wasn't, I'm not sitting here saying it was some, I was in therapy. I was rocking back and forth. But it took a few weeks for me to kind of get past my own denial. Like, this dude was someone I thought was an icon. And he goes and does this to his own son. Like, his wife is bad enough, but your own son? Like, fuck.
And I think that's credit to you again. Me, you, Chad, and all the other, good fellas, in NerdCorp. We try to operate on a specific brand of logic, and we talked about it a few shows back about these fans and their just kind of over investment in these entertainers in a very unhealthy way. Like, going back to Punk, I wonder if anybody's like ever sat down and asked him, like, have you like ever viewed some of the reaction and feedbacks you get from fans a little bit as like an over exaggeration or overrating of you because it's coming from a perspective that they really can't judge. Like, they approach him with the energy of seeing Punk, but they're meeting Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but they'll again, they'll expect the Punk energy, but then they'll call him Phil, and that'll rub him the wrong way. In a way, like, okay, coming up to me like this, but you calling me a name. You don't really know Phil, and it's a weird thing. Some celebrities can navigate it better than others, but I think I've heard him talk about like just how fans have like come up to him and gotten very comfortable off the CM Punk character, but didn't really have the right context for the whole "What's up, Phil?" Type of deal. So I wondered like just like his mindset of like has how he views how fans see him, and if he kind of like okay y'all like it's too comfortable of a line that they're trying to cross because they're so comfortable with their perception of my character that they don't know how to like judge a real personal interaction in a logical way. So that's
That's a damn good conversation, and it's definitely not just isolated to wrestling. I think maybe more than wrestling, musicians definitely probably experience that a lot because there's so much of that. Your music saved my life. Your music's the reason I'm here. So there's gonna be a lot of people who, not necessarily those types of people, but there's gonna be a lot of people who think that they know someone, and that can't be good. There's also that weird thing that especially specifically with Punk, that exists with the wrestling fandom, where they use him as almost the voice or like the musical chant of their dissatisfaction. And I don't know how he feels about that. Like that's got to be like every time you don't like something, you chant CM Punk. Like that's got to be a mind fuck. Like stop using that man as your decree for why this isn't good. Because I'm going to tell you what, I watched a lot of CM Punk in my lifetime. Good wrestler, great personality. He not always great, though. I've seen some snoozers, some stinkers, some what the fuck were you doingers. So, no one's perfect. No one's ever going to have a perfect blemish-free career. You're always going to have someone with the 12 people in the audience story to talk about. But,
and it's fun.
yeah, go on.
Yeah. It's just funny with that, and I think Punk is like a really perfect example. Because it's when you mention Benoit, it gets so murky because it's you can't once it gets to the murder part, you just can't deny anything about that.
Right.
And when you try, you lose all credibility. But with Punk, there's great point that you bring up about how fans view him because they almost put him in like the category of, okay, he pointed out all the problems, but he's also in their mind the cure for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that has to be like the weirdest thing and like and I don't also I don't think he dials in too much to be like, oh my god, I feel the pressure of it, but that has to be a weird thing for these fans 'cause like you say, anytime something goes wrong they chant Punk, or anytime there's an opening about anything like, oh, AEW should bring Punk in or they should bring Punk in, oh my god, he's working kind of with the WWE, he's coming back, like they're so ready for him to be the end all and cure all for every problem that we're seeing. When it's 100% not that simple at all, specifically on a systematic level,
Mm-hmm.
that, like I said, that goes back to a lot of these fans just don't have a healthy enough relationship with not only wrestling in general, but a lot of the people in it that you can't really sit down and have a conversation with any of these guys, man. It's weird.
I think part of the problem is fans are short for fanatical. And fanatical is a serious dogmatic drive where you support something to no end. And there needs to be a clear cut definition nowadays between fan and fanatic. I think putting your entire visage behind someone is clearly a sign that you need more help than a sports star, a TV star, a musician, or whoever can have. Whether it's a politician or Taylor Swift or fucking Velveteen Dream, it doesn't really matter. If you are supporting them so hard that you're losing sight on everything else and they are becoming your cause, you've lost reality. Their music or entertainment or whatever they are is supposed to be something that you interact with only briefly throughout your life. It's not supposed to become everything that you are. And when that's the case, it's a sign that you yourself have lost any ability to be your own person, be unique, be someone who you can be, yourself around and have your own ideas and thoughts and personalities. Like there's a lot of guys I'm fans of, Bret Hart being one of them. But I'll tell you what, whenever Bret Hart speaks, I roll my eyes and go, okay, Bret, okay. I'm sure Brett. Okay. Like Sting. Love Sting. If I ever met him, I'll probably cry like a giant baby. And I'm 33 years old and I'm admitting that. But I'm telling you, I don't agree with everything Sting says, and I don't think all of Sting's views in this world are the way for me. That's just how I feel. I don't begrudge the man for it. But I also am not going to go on the flip side and be like, if someone were to accuse someone I absolutely adore of something horrific, I'm not going to be like, that's impossible. Because listen, I've been through it as a fan. I know exactly that it's possible. Saw firsthand. So it's one of those things where I think fans need to kind of be like, pulled back a bit. Like, it's cool that you enjoy that shit. You're supposed to. I only watch this shit that the WWE puts out anymore because I have a reason to hang out with Marcus now online and talk to him about it. If I didn't have Marcus in my life, I would have stopped watching the WWE years ago. But he and I get to make fun of it, and I like that. But it's one of those things where fans kind of need to pull back a bit and stop being so, damned ingrained into, pushing back against any bad publicity. Like, shit sometimes happens, and it's sometimes true.
Yeah, but yeah, man, think about it. When it gets to the point where like people start to view an actual um, murder, homicide, suicide as a interrupting caveat to your feelings, it's
Right?
like you bring that up in this conversation about Benoit, and they're like, "Oh, you want to bring that up? What do you mean want to bring that up? This is not." It's like what? This ain't no like, "Oh, he threw a baseball at the window. You remember that? That's not that." So let's not play like it's that. This is a whole other situation. This is an end point right here. This is a whole uh new window in which you view somebody. So don't brush it off as like, oh, boys will be boys type shit. Like that's not what that is.
Dude, boys will be boys is boiled down to one thing. If you got someone going outside, getting muddy on them, coming inside, laughing, you give them a bath, and they go right outside and get dirty again, that's boys will be boys. Bitch, we don't want soap, we want mud. That's why we in it. But no, anything violent related, that's not boys will be boys. Fuck that noise. Boys will be boys is just eating, worms. Or like poking things with a stick. Or sword fighting on a log and then falling off and then scratching your knee up, crying for 12 minutes and then getting back up and doing it again. That's boys will be boys. What Benoit did is murderers be murderers. So just kind of pull back. I give you, and listen, I'm not saying I've never done it. I'm not saying I've never been that guy before. I think we've all been that guy before or that gal before. But you got to
Yeah.
mature. You got to move past it. You got to find, a bigger reason to enjoy something. Like for me, I used to be a huge TNA fan to the point where only promotion I watched for a good few years. I still like Impact. I'm still a big fan. But I'm also like, I like this MLW shit. Sometimes Ring of Honor real good. I like me this New Japan. That's some fun stuff. Shikara, brilliant. And I think when you realize that you can still appreciate something a little bit more than everything else, but still like everything else, that's when I think you can detach from this need of being, a soldier or be the universe or a street team or whatever. You can move on and be happy and enjoy things as they're supposed to be enjoyed. Like I said, the WWE is a shit show, and the only reason I ever pay attention to it at all is to make fun of it with Marcus. And I think that's part of the reason why Zach watches Impact is so we can have fun with talking about it on Wednesday. So, it is what it is. Like, think about my disdain for Dan Didio and fucking Brian Michael Bendis. I don't write letters to their families or demanding DC fire Bendis. I just stopped buying the comics. That's my way of saying I don't like this. More people need to take the low-key approach to things. You'll live longer, trust me. All right, so Mark, is anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. Unless some come through the wall last minute, that's about all.
Not that I saw. Marcus and I will be back on the air on Thursday with Zach. We are reading the first arc of Why the Last Man. Have you started reading it yet?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many
I've read
issues is the first arc? Do you know?
No, I gotta get. I think I've read the first one. I gotta get back into it.
Okay. The Last Man comic. Because if it's like 6 issues, we'll just go with the first arc. But if it's like 2 or 3, we might do more. So let me
Okay.
just double check. The Plague Explanations in Other Media. How about the comics, you fuckers? All right. So here's the collected editions. They all seem to be between 5 to 6 issues, so we shouldn't have to worry about doubling up too often. So the first one is The Unmanned. It's issues 1 through 5, so we'll just stick with 1 through 5.
Gotcha.
That'll work. I think there's 60 issues altogether. So it's a little bit shorter than the Boys. So this will actually, if we do this one at a time, or 5 at a time, essentially, we should be doing this for 10 weeks. So Marcus and I will be on with Zach on Thursday talking about why The Last Man the comic. You can find that on twitch.tv/comic and GameCorp Thursday night at 9 p.m. Marcus and I will not be on Tuesday because we did the show Sunday. But Monday, we're doing GameCorp on twitch.tv/comic and GameCorp because we didn't record yesterday because I was doing coverage for UFC 249. And then Zach and I will be on Wednesday at on Wrestling Underground on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground at 9 p.m. talking about this week's Impact episode. So that's our show for this week. We'll probably be back on Friday as well, but I got to get in touch with Swisher about what he wants to do for Friday. Anything else, Marcus?
Nope, that's it.
So Marcus mentioned before his other podcast, The True Penny Show. You can find that on Twitter at True Penny Show on Twitter. That's at True Penny Show, TruePennyShow. And if you like Marcus as much as I like Marcus, go follow him on Twitter, which you can do so by going to Paradox Kid, ParadoxKid.
That's me.
You can also find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp. I was about to say your name. Paradox Kid. You can find me at Chad Nerdcorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. You can download any of our past podcasts by going to Podbean at realnerdcorp.podbean.com or by downloading the Podbean app to your mobile device, signing up for a free account. I think I don't know why you need an account. You just do. And you can start downloading the Podbean episodes straight to your cell phone or tablet. We're also on the website, realnerdcorp.com, realnerdcorp.com. You can download the episodes to your computer or phone from that site as well. So if you want to just download the MP3, that way you can do so as well. We are on youtube.com/The Wrestling Underground and Twitter at NERDCORP and Instagram at Real Nerd Corp. So with all that being said, we're done. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. I thought we'd be on for 20 minutes tonight. We were on for almost 2 hours. That's just how we roll. So with all that being said, I've been Chad Porto. He's been Marcus Green. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I said all that. Watch more wrestling and Marcus take us home.
Good night.